Yo, this will talk E. Welcome to the Locker Move Talk. Nothing but basketball. Now, what a series we had. What a game seven. What a game six. I mean, what an entire back and forth we had this whole time in the Eastern Conference Finals. Even the West too, but really in the East. I mean, I told everybody this is going to be the NBA Finals. I told everybody that this is going to be probably the best series we've had so far. And to be honest with you, this was the most roller coaster type of series we've had yet. They had the most ups and downs. Like at a certain point, we thought people quit. We thought the Heat were over. Some people saying, "Oh, can the Heat bounce back? Can the Celtics bounce back? What is going to happen?" And Game 7 yesterday pretty much summed up the entire series. I mean, if you watch this series from Game 1 to yesterday, Game 7, you understand what I'm saying. The Game 7 was literally the whole series in one game. To start it off, first quarter, right? We had the Celtics go up against the Heat, and the Celtics only put up 15 points in the first quarter. I forgot how much they allowed the Heat to put up, but it was about 20 something points. Pretty sure it was high 20s. So you are already not giving yourself a chance. You already started the first quarter digging yourself a hole instead of fighting and helping yourself stay with this Heat team. Eventually, in the second quarter, I believe it was, the Heat opened up a 17-point lead. So now, for the rest of the game, the Celtics have to try to fight their way back from being down 17 points. Now, I've seen the Celtics be down by 15 points with one quarter left and they fought back. I've seen the Celtics fight back being down by 13 points with like 4 minutes left and come back and force it to overtime and stuff like that, right? So, I'm not panicking if they're down 17 in the first quarter or in this first half. I don't care. All right. I'm thinking, okay, the Celtics are going to come back. It's going to be a good game. What is going to happen? And we get to around the end of the second quarter. And to be honest with you, this is why I'm saying that this game summed up the entire series. We had the Celtics who missed in the first, I think the first half, they missed 11 shots from beyond the arc. 11 shots. And then I think they only made one or two in the first half. So if you're going 1 for 12 or 2 for 13 from 3, I don't care what team you are, you're going to lose that game. And on top of that, they were having spurts where they were getting 2 defensive stops and then come back down and score, right? On whether it was a 2 or 3. First half was mostly 2s. So they would get to the paint, score, whatever, and then they come back down, and this is where we see the lapses from the Celtics, and they will sit here and they will give up another 3 or 4 shots, and the Heat just kept bringing it to the Celtics, and the Celtics, they kept dropping, and yesterday they just were not good. That drop coverage defense yesterday for them, it was not helping. I mean, the Heat were eating them up, and they couldn't do anything about it. Al Horford was not stepping up on screens. You know, their 3-point shooters in the first half felt like they just cannot miss. They were hitting everything. Everything. They like could not miss. It's like the Celtics weren't even present. It's like they were just in shoot around at practice or something like that. Like they had no type of fear. They had no reason to pump fake, to hesitate, nothing. The Celtics were not there. They were not available. And I'm going to be honest too. I didn't mention this at the beginning, which I feel like I should have, is the biggest part of the game, to be honest. But in the first like possession or two of the game, Jason Tatum goes to get to score, and he comes down on his, I think it was the left ankle, and he injures his left ankle, right? And he's out pretty much most of the first quarter. Now, the first quarter is usually the Tatum quarter. This is usually when he sets the tone for the entire team, and they go based off of him. He was out. Somebody needed to step up. Nobody did. and that's why the Celtics had the game that they had. Now, when Tatum comes back in, I believe he came back in around the end of the first quarter or in the second quarter. When he comes back in, his left ankle is very ginger. Like he cannot use it a lot. He looks super awkward when he was landing on it. Whether it was him getting a rebound, whether it was him getting to jumping up, scoring, and then coming back down. It didn't matter what he was doing. Every time he landed on it, every time he had to use it, it felt like he was feeling super awkward on it. And first half, they're down. Jaylen Brown, non-existent. Marcus Smart, he tries. He looks like he's about to have a crazy game. In the second quarter, he turns it up. He starts hitting threes. They cut it to 8. And this is what I'm saying. They fight back, right? Now, they showed that they have the ability to get stops and score because they went from a 17-point deficit to an 8-point deficit. But then right there, right, they go ahead and they give up a couple of possessions, right, back to back to back. And the Heat go back up by like 11 points going into halftime. Come back in the second half, and I'm thinking, okay, the Celtics gonna lock in. Somebody in the locker room had to mention there's 24 minutes left. Either our season's going to end or their season's going to end. And we do not want our season to end in these last 24 minutes. So put it all on the floor, and whatever is the result is the result. We'll live and die about it. Third quarter comes, and the Celtics did absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Jaylen Brown still non-existent. Every time he touches the ball, it's like it's going to be an offensive foul, a travel, or some type of turnover. The entire game, it felt like the Celtics just forgot how to play basketball. It felt like they really did not belong on the court. It felt like they were not the same team in the regular season. And you watch this game and you're like, do the Celtics even have an identity? Do they allow their defense to lead them to offense? What is the Celtics' identity? They didn't have one yesterday. There was nothing that they were doing great. There was nothing that they were doing decent. They were trying to rely on offensive boards, but if you cannot even get shots up, how can you even give yourself a chance to get the offensive boards? They were doing terrible. Jaylen Brown had 8 turnovers. Only 6 buckets made. You cannot have more turnovers than buckets. That makes no sense. You're not even the point guard. And again, third quarter, Marcus Smart, I don't know where he goes. He's non-existent. He doesn't even show up. He doesn't even think about showing up. Jason Tatum, again, he's injured. He's on the court. Al Horford, don't even know why he's in the game. All he's done this entire series is play terrible, take stupid fouls, not play great defense. His shot is not falling. It's like, what is he good for? What is the point of him being on this team? Why is he on the court? He's playing like he's Blake Griffin. And the Celtics played Malcolm Brogdon in the first half too. I believe that hurt them as well. He was, not a great scorer for them. At least in this series, he got injured. Derek White took over the third quarter. He's trying his best. I believe he scored like 10 or 12 of his 18 points here in this third quarter. And then once the Celtics found out that works, they stopped going to him. It's like, why would you stop going to him? He's the only player who's had something going this entire series, whether you guys are winning or losing. He's the only player who's been consistent on both sides of the court, whether y'all are winning or losing. And the Celtics stopped going to him. They go back to everybody else. Everybody's missing shots. Everybody is turning over the ball. It's like the Celtics have not played a single game with one another their entire life. It's like this whole season just doesn't exist. It's like you just picked up a random team from the streets and told them, hey, come play together. It's like you just took 5 people from the G League and put them in. Like the Celtics played that bad. It was very depressing to watch. Like I thought the Heat were gonna come here. It was gonna be a close game. It was gonna be grinded out, and they're gonna have to really force this win. The Celtics didn't even put up a fight. And again, in spurts, very, very, very short spurts, they showed that they can get a couple of stops and come back down and score. But those spurts were not long enough, just like this series. And then there was times where the Celtics quit on possessions. Brown started taking dumb threes, quick, stupid threes to try to get back in the game. You're not going to win it like that. You have a whole quarter left. You're not going to win it by taking a dumb three and hoping that you become the hero and it goes in. It's not happening. You have to get to the basket. Drives lead to better threes. I mean, he was doing everything in his hands to turn over the ball. It was terrible. It was sad. And we get to the fourth quarter, and the Celtics are trying to get one last push. And Caleb Martin, like this entire game, this entire series, he got it going. He's basically, in my opinion, obviously way better. But he's the Derek White for the Miami Heat this series. He's been the most consistent player, whether they are winning or losing. You know what you're gonna get from him, and he gave it to you every single night. And yesterday he put up like 26 points and 10 boards. Now I think he only hit one shot in the fourth quarter, which was a three, but that one shot was super deadly, and it took the life out of the Celtics. Took the life out of them. Jimmy Butler, super aggressive this game. This is what we like to see from him. 28 points, couple of rebounds, couple of assists. I believe he has 7 boards, 6 assists. Good all-around game. Played defense, couple of steals, especially late in the game. Bam Adebayo, terrible first half, decent second half. I believe he went 1 for 5 in the first half. In the second half, he started actually put the ball in the bucket, and he had like 3 very, very, very important assists that basically like just clinched the game for them. And there was a certain point where the Heat went up by like 21 points. The biggest lead, I believe, was 23. And the Celtics were never able to cut down to that lead ever again. Tatum, Brown, Marcus Smart, Derek White, everybody lost the game. Terrible game from them. Derek White tried. Jaylen Brown played terrible. Tatum was injured, but he still had a double-double. He tried. We can't really blame him for everything, but Jaylen Brown, like, come on, bro. Terrible game. Like, that was one of the worst games ever we've seen from him. Had more turnovers than buckets made. Marcus Smart, a no-show in the second half, just disappeared. Al Horford, he was just getting cardio in, running around this entire series, honestly. Nobody feared him on the Heat. They were going at him. They loved when Horford was guarding them. And then late in the fourth quarter, he's going to hit a 3-point shot like it's supposed to matter. Like, you can't tell me you've been breaking this entire series and then you just made a wet 3-point shot. No. If I'm the Celtics, to be honest with you, if I was his teammate, I don't even want to see those 3 points on the board. Take them off. What's the point of them? They didn't give Grant Williams enough shots. In my opinion, I feel like he could have had a couple of threes in him yesterday. At least to help change the momentum of the game. But it is what it is. It's enough of me rambling and chatting. Heat, congratulations. I know I didn't speak much about them, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I had the Heat winning. I expected them to win only because the Celtics are not great under pressure. And Game 7 was a lot of pressure for the Celtics. They're also not great at home, and they're just, I know the way that they play. They don't play together. They play hero ball, and after I saw Tatum go down, I was like, it is what it is. The Heat got this, well deserved too. It's not like an excuse. Oh, Tatum went down and the Heat won. That or not, it's well deserved. Honestly, the Celtics put up a fight. They forced them to Game 7, even though they were down 3-0. A lot of teams would have quit. A lot of teams would have tapped out. A lot of teams would have went out in 5 and 4. But Celtics stood their ground, pushed it to 7, and the Heat understood that they played really bad in the last 2 games. Their star player Jimmy Butler's been playing terrible, and overall in the last 3 games they was playing terrible. And yesterday they came out and they showed up and they showed out. And Jimmy Butler, no pump fakes. He started to really, when the ball was leaving his hands, he was leaving his hands to score. He was not trying to pump fake or do anything extra. But Robert Williams gave him some trouble. And honestly, I feel like they should have played him more. They should have played him more than Al Horford. Because Horford's shot wasn't falling, so it's like, what is he really giving you? Nothing. But yeah, it's time to leave the locker room. This Real Talker E. I'm going to catch ya. Safety in my hearts.
Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
The officials have to review it. And the Lakers win the game. Banks it in. He banks in the 3 to win it. Good.
That's why he's NBA All-Defensive Team. Adebayo. Sky high with the block and rejection.
This is for the win. Got it. Wow.
At 7, working against Butler, got down.